Okay, let's get started. I'm going to try and knock this one out kind of quick and dirty. So there's multiple IEMs to talk about, and I don't want to drone on about it. So today I would like to talk about kind of what I would go for in the sub $40-50 range. Maybe I'm getting into the hobby. Maybe I want to try and get something nice for somebody on a budget. Either way, these are approachably priced, and I think all kind of have merit in some of their own ways, but well, we'll talk about ultimately what I would actually buy. I'm going to start by, let's kind of intro what I want to talk about today. I got Moondrop Lan. I did just come from SoCal Can Jam and saw that they were, excuse me, promoting Lan II, which should come out. I mean, if they're bringing it to Can Jam, probably soon-ish, but I didn't get a chance to listen to it or talk to the Moondrop folks because it was pretty busy over there. So don't know anything about that, but it bears repeating that Lan II is coming, and I think I've heard Super Review Mr. Mark say that Lan II is good, but that may even mean that this will go on sale, and this is still an IEM worth being in the conversation, sub $50, I believe. So that's Lan. I've got on the super budget end Truthear Gate here. This one's on a triple in cable because some people like the stock cable on these. I did not. I found it to be too thin and plasticky and cheapy feeling. But here's Gate. Interestingly, with Lan's tips in one of the sizes that I wasn't using on Lan, obviously. But what else do we got here? So this, I got this a couple weeks ago, Cadenza. Obviously, there are reasons why HBB, good guy, bad audio, or bad guy, good audio reviews, Hawaii Bad Boy himself, still puts this in the running for like best cheapy. And you know what? It does have quite the value proposition. I think these are built beautifully. They feel the most premium, like non-metal shell in this budget range that I've felt. The cable is nice. I've modified this cable so it doesn't have the ear hook, so it will come with preformed ear hooks. But these are, I think, beautiful. They come in multiple colors. They have quite the value proposition for 35-ish US. And the new boy that bears mention, picked this up over the weekend at SoCal Can Jam, Letshuoer D02, brand new, kind of fashion-oriented entry-level product. This one comes with a USB-C cable. I believe 3.5 is also an option, but this was the last one they had in this color, and I actually got this as a gift for my girlfriend. So USB-C is what is in here. I listened to the 3.5 at the booth, plugged into my own equipment, this Shanling H2 here, and for $25-ish, I found it to be more than worth it. Just gonna hold up something here so the camera focuses on something, but even so, these on the low end still have their merit. I will sort of address comparisons now. These are like sub 20 now. I think I bought these for 16 on Amazon, so they might have even be delivered same day depending on your area. These are quite accessible, and for sub 20, I guess I would still go with these. I think the Tongsu Lan II go on sale on under $20 at times. I think they have a similar build and people like the sound better. I have not heard those. But anyway, in this range, I think you may as well just spend a little more and get a little more for your money. So let me move over to the graph stuff. And I don't have D02 from Letshuoer graphed yet. It's still kind of in this ballpark of Moondrop-esque upper mids, which I think is kind of Harmon. Let's see. Yeah, a little more elevated than, well, I don't know if this target is actually corrected for my setup, so let's put that away. But here's the three main guys that I'll be talking about, normalized at about 1,000 hertz. So here you can see some bass differences. The Lan is going to be the more inoffensive bass sound, kind of. It's there. You can get some rumble out of it. I find this to be generally pleasant. You're going to get, I think, the most, how do I say this? Not the most hi-fi. Well, maybe. You might get the most hi-fi, quote-unquote, sound from Lan for your money. The build is also exceptional. It's all metal. Cable's nice. And I spent a lot of time with Lan. I like it a lot. You're going to get a little more energy in this treble presence. No. Mid-treble region. There we go. And I generally find it to be inoffensive if you're worried about hearing a little too much. I don't find Lan to be fatiguing at all. I can fall asleep listening to them just fine. Cadenza is kind of a bit more laid back in that mid-treble region. You get a little more energy up here, but it's more than likely fine for some people. I find some of my tracks I can catch a little bit of too much energy in female vocals in general. Not to the point where I'll wince because it hurts me, but it's definitely a little bit more of a vocal, less versatile vocal set for me. Lan can kind of handle anything and not hurt me. Cadenza, say for example on tracks like from Red Velvet, K-pop group, I find most of their tracks to be on the wispy and harsh side if you're listening to the wrong equipment. And that's no exception on Cadenza, but the bass is really nice. It's worth mentioning. And I think Cadenza sounds a little bit more balanced in my ear than Gate does. Gate, obviously on the cheap end, is going to be lesser build quality, but still quite a comparable sound in terms of the other guys here on the list. I don't like Gate that much, but if $20 is all you got, it is not that bad of an option. But I generally find it to be kind of unremarkable. It sounds fine. It's decent. I don't have D02 graphed, but I listened to it and pretty much bought it on site over the weekend. SoCal Can Jam 2025. It reminds me a bit of everything else in this range. It's not that remarkable, but it does make a good gift, and that's why I mention it here. I don't know that I would necessarily buy it over any of these, but you know, aesthetically it might be more appealing to some. Anyways, I'm not really going to include it in this conversation going forward, but it does bear mention. So of these, the caveat here is my Cadenza died relatively quickly. The right channel became distorted to hell as I was measuring it about basically the same week that I got it. And as a $35 set, it didn't really mean that much to me to try and reach out and get a replacement. I buy all these myself, so obviously I don't have an in with anybody at Kiwi Ears, and I would have to go through Amazon customer support, which is normally not that bad, but I have other sets around like Lan and Gate, so I didn't miss Cadenza too much, but the right channel did die within a week, so I can't really in all good conscience say that I would buy another one. And that being said, I listened to Kiwi Ears stuff over the weekend at Can Jam and picked up a KE4, which is a much more expensive set, and found that for some reason the right channel was much quieter and strange sounding compared to the left. So I don't know what's going on with quality control over at Kiwi Ears. I haven't heard anything bad about it in, Discord and other circles, but yeah, sound wise, I think Cadenza for the money is probably the most approachable. It's nice and bassy and relatively detailed without being too harsh. You get enough for your money with Cadenza, but I just can't really recommend buying one because mine died within the week, 3-4 days maybe even. But again, could be an isolated incident. I'll try some other Kiwi Ear stuff eventually, but for now, that kind of put me off in the short term. So Cadenza's out. Gate, if you've got $20, Gate is fine, but it's unremarkable. That might be one of the only options that I would consider in that range around there. If I could get Warner under $20, I probably would go for that instead, even though I personally haven't heard it. But unsurprising conclusion, I would buy Lan under $40-50. Just the build quality, fit, comfort is excellent. It's a nice small shell. Let me switch back over. I think, this is kind of the basic Moondrop kind of shape. When it comes to FR, this dip here I think contributes to how approachable the sound is. A lot of fatiguing frequencies are going to be up here, and although one of my channels in specific has a lot more air than the other, it's still I find generally I can listen to Lan pretty much all day. There's enough bass for me. I'm not a bass head. If you're a bass head, you might want to try Cadenza instead. They're going to get a little bit more physicality and impact, and I hope for you that if you buy Cadenza, your set lasts longer than 4 to 5 days. But Lan has been around for a while in my stable. I've used it for drum monitoring, and in the summer heat, obviously that's a lot of sweat. So they're pretty tough. The metal shell is not too weighty, and they're just a nice set for the money. Sound wise, everything kind of a total package in my opinion, and that's what I would buy in this range. Obviously I bought all of these, but that's what I would recommend people to buy in this range. Let me switch back over to the camera real quick. Yeah, these shells are just nice, small, they fit well. The cable, some people don't like how thin it is. I generally find its behavior to be adequate. It feels nicely built. Lan just has sort of a premium presentation for the money that I think is hard to beat in this price range. 1 second. Even against newer products like Letshuoer's D02, and I'm excited to get my hands on Lan II in the future. I'm sure I will give that a try, but that's gonna do it for what I wanted to address in this video. Let's bring back Cadenza real quick. There are a lot of pros with this on paper. I hope no one else has QC issues like I did, but yeah, I'm not gonna go out and tell people to buy Cadenza really, unless you are willing to gamble the $40. Like someone getting into a new hobby or buying a gift, you kind of want to leave a nice impression or give yourself a nice first impression. If these die within a week, yeah, that's not necessarily a good impression. So that's that. Lan good, Cadenza good, also caveat with a big asterisk that it might die. But that's sort of the dice roll with any of these, right? So I'll leave the link to my squig site in the description. If you care about my graphs, let's go back real quick. I graph stock tips and all of the other tips I have on hand. Just quick, for example, if you put the D02 SS on Lan, that's sort of, you're probably going to get the same kind of sound. Let's say you put in final type E's, same kind of sound. You're really going to see changes with weird tips like the Tongsu Sansai narrow. You obviously get a little more air here, but general shape remains the same. Anyway, if you want to check out all my measurements with all the different tips I have around, I have my squig site linked. So thanks for checking it out. If you care, you give a shit, like leave a like, comment, subscribe, whatever. You can ask me stuff. I'm around. Peace.